So we move into 11 and actually to 11A, other business, and Councillor Padgett.
Thank you, Worship. I'm about to make a motion which I wish I did not have to make. And I want to take you back to last year when we were in a situation where the Nanaimo Daily News had sponsored an event, a leadership event, a podcast in this facility that, among others, was sponsored by a company in the United States called Chick-fil-A, the owner of which has a rich history of homophobia and other divisive practices. The gentleman's name is Mr. Dan Cathy, C-A-T-H-Y. And the fact that it was that company that sponsored that event in this facility was enough to upset, to a large degree, the LGBT, that's the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgendered community of this city, to have the Daily News withdraw and cancel the event. And we thought and we hoped that that would have been the end of it. So I'm going to make a motion, and if I can find a seconder, I would like to speak more to that, if I may, Your Worship. My motion reads that the City of Nanaimo advise the VICC, the Vancouver Island Conference Centre, that as owners of the facility, any events that are associated with organizations of people that promote or have a history of divisiveness, homophobia, or other expressions of hate, and as such advise the VICC to not permit the upcoming Leadercast event to occur in the city-owned facility that is scheduled for Saturday, May the 9th. And I so move. So
moved and seconded. Any discussion on this?
I would like to speak further to it, if I may.
Yes, please.
So to just give you a bit of history, last week the Nanaimo Daily News had 2 full-page ads in their publication to promote this event that was sponsored jointly by the Nanaimo Daily News and the Coastal Community Credit Union. And again, there were members in the LGBT community that caught on to that, and I had a phone call from 1 or 2 of them on Friday, and we followed up a little bit, and sure enough, you don't have to Google very fast and very far in order to make that connection with Chick-fil-A all over again. Furthermore, in the ad in the Daily News is reference made to one of the speakers, a gentleman by the name of Dr. Henry Cloud, who, among other things, he's a psychiatrist who is very strong on the fact that he believes that matters gay can be fixed with reparative therapy. In other words, he can fix, which I think to everybody on this council and in this room is about as offensive as it gets. So that alone, even that, apart from the connection with Chick-fil-A, was enough for me to make this motion. Once we made a little noise, it became pretty quick that the coastal community people withdrew their sponsorship, which has left the Nanaimo Daily News, who then advised Ms. Tacon of the VICC late Friday that they were pulling the event. It was not going to happen, to the relief of many of us. Apparently, the Nanaimo Daily News has had a change of heart and have now said that they indeed intend to go on with that. And I don't know about you, but for a council such as this one, which has been progressive and open-minded on many occasions, we have unanimous decisions to fly the gay pride flag, for instance. We've done it year after year. For us to now be faced with this again is regrettable, to say the least. And so I urge you to vote in favor of this motion. It once again sends a message that I wish did not have to be sent, but here we are. I guess that's all I have to say.
Okay, Councillor McKay.
Thank you, Worship. Was the sponsor of this event, specifically the Nanaimo Daily News, informed of this motion coming forward at this evening's Committee of the Whole meeting?
They were not. I know that as late as an hour and a half ago, city staff have had a conversation with a senior member of the Nanaimo Daily News, and I don't know whether at that point that person was advised or not, but it's kind of beside the point as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I would prefer to have had the opportunity for the sponsor of the event to be standing at the podium to explain what the event is about, rather than blindly putting forward a motion like this without the sponsor even knowing about it.
Can I respond to that?
Yes, go ahead.
There's absolutely nothing blindly about this. The city has made it clear through the city manager and Mr. Howard to the staff of the Nanaimo Daily News that maybe not explicitly that this is coming. You have to remember this was about 3:45 this afternoon. At any case, it is, in my opinion, Councillor McKay, no different from what was attempted last year. And one would hope that the Nanaimo Daily News at that point had learned a lesson, but apparently they have not.
Councillor, could you just expand on what, just to refresh my memory, what happened last year and how it was, what happened? There was end result?
Year, if I remember correctly, the Nanaimo Daily News withdrew from the event, and the event was cancelled.
Okay, we have several speakers. Have you finished?
No, I haven't.
Go ahead.
My next question is to the city manager, and that is it my understanding that this event is also being simulcast in Vancouver and Victoria?
My understanding is that a number of communities throughout North America, upwards of 800, I think, are being simulcast.
And you're aware of no significant or no cancelling of events in Vancouver or Victoria? They're going ahead?
I'm not aware of either any other issues related to other communities.
And it's my understanding that that the event is about leadership?
Your Worship, the event is what it is. It's a leadership discussion with a number of speakers.
Thank you.
Councillor Brennan.
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have a lot to add to what Councillor Padgey said, but I support this motion. I'm disappointed that the Daily News has come back with this after last year, after knowing how deeply offended the LGBT community was. And I'm sorry that they've seen fit to go ahead again. But I think it's particularly remarkable that after the Chick-fil-A affiliation last year was identified as a major problem for the community, that they didn't, when proceeding with this again, they didn't identify that Chick-fil-A was involved. I think that's quite remarkable that they would neglect to do that. And so I'm happy to support this. I think it's unfortunate that we've had to go there, that this community has expressed its opposition to the kind of, it's not just divisive, but I think that it's summed up when we say that we don't want to be associated with organizations that promote homophobia or other expressions of hate. And I certainly feel that that's what Chick-fil-A does, and it's an unfortunate situation when the city of Nanaimo becomes affiliated with them.
Okay. Councillor Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have much to add either, but I will support the motion because it goes further to say that, one, that it won't have any events that are associated with organizations or people that promote divisiveness, homophobia, or other expressions of hate. And I think that goes to show that this council is showing leadership in itself by saying that we will not accept acts of hate, and it's even within our Charter of Rights and Freedoms as well that hate speech is not permitted. And so for us to go ahead and say, because it is just leadership event that organizations that promote hate should be able to use our facilities sends the wrong message. So I'm happy to support the motion because it's unfortunate to see this type of organization coming in and using a publicly owned, publicly funded facility. So I'm happy to support the motion.
Okay, Mr. Swaby, did you have a comment you were going to make, or no? You're on.
Councillor Anderson said what I wanted to say is just to make sure it's clear that they're not speaking on the issues that's offensive. They come from a background where people have identified that they are of that, have made those comments. So I just wanted to be clear that the event itself isn't to discuss that issue anyway.
Okay, Councillor Bestwick.
Thank you, Your Worship. Firstly, I'd just like to apologize for being late. Was in transit and got caught up. I just received this sitting down. I apologize. It came out to us at 4:04 today. So I didn't know anything about it, but clearly any ill toward our human friends and beyond is not something that is very advised and something that I would support. And clearly this is not something that I would support, but if I could just ask staff for clarification on a couple of things, if I could. This was brought to our attention last Friday. Personally, I would have preferred notice before 4 o'clock today so that I could have been a little bit more prepared here tonight for this. I'm sure that there's reasons why not, but that's just one thing that I would have preferred. I understand that there were some conversations that went on Friday and probably this morning, as early as this morning. So again, I would have appreciated the courtesy to know that this was happening tonight. I realize the event's scheduled for the 9th. So a couple of questions that I have is who booked the event? Like who's the booking agent? The Daily News? Who's booking it?
Well, Your Worship, just to clarify, first of all, the motion being brought forward isn't being brought forward by staff. So that would be a discussion between councillors on how you would like that information to transpire. But the event is a Daily News event. This is their sponsoring the podcast, which is brought out from the States and then podcast to all the communities around North America.
Okay, so and one of the speakers in that series of speakers is this doctor that's identified here. And
the one of the sponsors of Leader Quest, I think it's called, is affiliated with someone who has in the past.
Thank you. So there's multiple speakers.
That's correct.
So from and I don't want, personally, I don't want to hear what this person has to say. So the reason that I might have suggested that if I knew, because staff knew on Friday, and I totally respect the motion, and I'll support the motion, but for me, I would love to block then, if all of the other speakers, if there's a dozen or 10 and it's 3 hours long or however long it is, then black that out. I think it's, personally, I think it would be actually more effective it's a blackout. You can't get this game in BC. You can't get this person in Nanaimo because we don't support it. Everybody else on this docket, you bet, if that's the case, if they're not this kind of speaker. But so I think that would be something that I would have preferred, because I think there's a bigger statement with that, actually. It's actually a bigger statement to say, we're going to black that out. We're going to draw a curtain across that. The lights are going off. The sound's going off. We don't want to listen to this person. You got nothing to say that we want to hear. And then when whoever else comes up talking about something that's entrepreneurial or cool or leadership, that's actually leadership, then I want to hear it. So for a whole host of reasons, I think that we might have, because as early as today, we were talking to the Daily News, according to this report. So, but because that I support the motion, I'll support the motion, but I think that there was, I would have liked to have been able to make a suggestion if I had the opportunity, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Johnstone.
Could I comment on
Sure, if you wish. Yeah, okay.
on
Is that
Councillor
okay with
Bestwick's
you?
thing, if that's okay with you? Well, there's,
But I think you want to rebut or
Councillor, I
maybe
want
make
to
a
do a
comment
little,
on something, that's
well,
all?
whatever you want to call it.
Well, not rebut, respond.
So with your permission, I would say to Councillor Bestwick that the main reason that it did not come to him on Friday was that, much to our surprise, everything was fixed in about an hour. When the first phone call came in, and a phone call was made to Ms. Dacon, and a phone call was made to the Daily News, it was by 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon or 4:30 that we were advised by Ms. Dacon that she had been advised by the Daily News that the event had been pulled. So there was nothing further to report. With regards to your second point of this one speaker, Dr. Henry Cloud, he of the reparative infamy, even if he was not speaking, the connection alone between the leadership.com, you can go on the website, and the connection between that and Chick-fil-A and their awful history of dealing with things gay and lesbian should be enough. And so I don't think you should have to black out anything. I'm sure Dr. Cloud is not going to speak about hate or hateful things. That's not what this is about. This is about an organization that is being sponsored by a man who has done tremendous damage. So.
Okay, Councillor Johnstone.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm not going to reiterate anything that everyone else has said. I absolutely support Councillor Paget's motion, and it's regretful that it hasn't been cancelled by by the Daily News, and I know Mr. Khan was uncomfortable cancelling the event without council support. Being it's in a city facility, I think it's only right that we cancel it.
Okay, Councillor Kipp.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. Well, I'm SBNN, so that's straight but not narrow. And this company, the S. Truett Cathy Company, through Chick-fil-A, a $6.2 billion trust that funds a lot of the organizations in the United States and across the world that spread some very, very strong language hatred against LGBTQ, against gay marriage. The company's renowned for major funding of what I would call a very strong, unbelievable Christian belief. So for me, this is really very simple for us. We've said before to it, it's not just the speakers coming here, it's who's funding it, what their messages are outside of this one realm that I can't support it at all, the way they spread the stuff that they do. So I'm absolutely in favor of this, and I think we have to make it fairly clear about the sponsorship of these type of events. It's like we won't accept if a criminal organization wants to come into our community and set up and have a podcast. So I just say this one, so I hate to be it that way, but I find this almost to be a criminal point of view in this day and age. With the hatred that we have seen in the last week in our own community, and the stuff that's going on around the world, the little girls, 270 girls are missing. This is just nuts. You know, it's just nuts. So I support this.
Okay, we have one more speaker, I think Councillor McKay, but I just want to say that I also will be supporting it. And, I think really as a community we have a responsibility to look after the interests of everyone in our community. This is an inclusive community, and we support everyone. And I would be very uncomfortable to see it go any other way. But that said, Councillor McKay, we'll give you the last cake here.
Thank you, Worship. I noticed in the article that was covered in our local paper that a couple of the speakers that are going to be involved in this include human rights activist Archbishop Desmond Tutu, former First Lady Laura Bush, Andy Stanley, journalist Malcolm Gladwell, Nobel laureate, screenwriter and director, producer and author Randall Wallace, Bill McDermott of the software company SAP AG. I've also learned that this event is being held not only in, just in the lower mainland area, that in addition to Vancouver and Victoria, we have UVic, we have SFU, we have the City of Mission. They're all going to be podcasting this. So again, my objection to this is the fact that we have, we're going to be voting on something where the sponsor of the event, our local newspaper, is not even permitted or even has knowledge of this vote that's taking place right now, nor are they permitted to stand at the podium and defend this event. So I can't support it.
Okay. So the motion on the floor is, I don't think we need it read, but if there's a choice, I can have it done. If not, all those in favor? Opposed? We have Councillor McKay opposed, balanced council in favor. The motion passes. And we have the two last things are delegations, but you know, I might